War had a sound. It wasn't just explosions or the screams that came after, it was the silence between both. That split second when everything went still and the universe held its breath before tearing itself apart again. Writer Cole had lived inside that silence for 3 years. Long enough to forget what peace sounded like. Long enough to stop dreaming about home. The war between humanity and the Dravari Empire had turned galaxies into graveyards. Worlds burned, fleets vanished, and entire civilizations were erased in the name of survival. And now, on a dying moon called Varan Prime, Ryder was the last medic left from his unit, crawling through the wreckage of a battle no one had really won. The air shimmered with heat. Every breath tasted like rust and ozone. He moved through the twisted metal, searching for anyone still breathing, human or not. That's when he saw her. An alien soldier, silver armor cracked open, blood glowing faintly blue in the dust. Dravari enemy. Every instinct told him to keep moving, to let her die like the hundreds who tried to kill his kind. But he stopped. Because beneath that alien armor was something he recognized: fear. And pain. And the unmistakable sound of someone trying not to die. He dropped his pack, ripped off a strip of his uniform, and pressed it against the wound. Her pulse flickered under his hand like static electricity, weak and erratic. Her body temperature was dropping fast, and Ryder's training screamed that it was pointless. Dravari biology was incompatible. Their immune systems were built like biocomputers, perfectly engineered but utterly rigid. No human tech could fix that. Still, he held the pressure and whispered under his breath, "Not today." The battlefield around them glowed faintly under the shattered sky. The twin suns of Varan Prime hung like dying embers, and for a second, time itself seemed to freeze. Then something happened. Where his hand touched her skin, a faint gold shimmer began to spread, not from her but from him. At first, Ryder thought it was a trick of the light. But the warmth grew stronger, pulsing through his veins like fire. The glow spread to her wound, and the blood beneath his fingers began to shift color from dark blue to a brighter, cleaner shade, as if the corruption was being burned away. He couldn't explain it. He didn't even try. He just kept his hand there and watched the impossible unfold. The toxin that had been eating her alive stopped. Then it reversed. Her breathing steadied. The light in her skin returned. And for the first time since the war began, Ryder saw something that looked like a miracle. His head spun, nausea crawling through him like a wave. It felt like his body was being torn apart and rebuilt at the same time. Every nerve on fire, every cell screaming. But he didn't stop. Humanity had evolved through chaos, disease, famine, nuclear winters. The species that refused to die, that adapted to every nightmare the universe threw at it. And somehow that raw evolutionary fury was rewriting him, transforming his immune system into something that could fight alien death itself. He gritted his teeth, kept his focus, and held on. Minutes felt like hours, but eventually the trembling stopped. Her eyes opened, gold and endless, like twin stars flaring back to life. She was alive. Ryder fell back, gasping, dizzy, but the sight of her breathing was enough. He'd saved the enemy. And in doing so, maybe saved himself. Above them, the rumble of engines echoed through the clouds. Dravari dropships descended like shadows, their lights cutting through the smoke. For a heartbeat, Ryder thought they'd kill him where he lay. But the soldiers who stepped out didn't raise their weapons. They just stared. Their scanners showed the impossible. The toxin, the most advanced bioweapon in the galaxy, had been neutralized by a human. No nanotech. No medicine. Just biology. The Dravari Empress herself arrived hours later. Her presence filled the ruined valley, tall, armored in living metal, her gaze colder than space itself. She looked at Ryder, then at her daughter lying beside him, alive and glowing softly in the half-light. For the first time in recorded history, a Dravari bowed her head to a human. Ryder didn't feel pride. He felt empty. Like the war had taken everything and left him this, a single heartbeat of mercy that somehow changed the universe. The Empress declared a ceasefire. Her words traveled across the stars, transmitted to every ship, every station, every command post locked in endless war. The conflict ends, she said, not in victory or defeat but in revelation. Humanity wasn't just another species. They were survivors, chaos made flesh, evolution perfected by suffering. Where the Dravari designed themselves into stagnation, humans adapted. They learned. They endured. And in that endurance lay something the galaxy had never seen before: a life that refused to obey the laws of extinction. Ryder recovered slowly aboard a Dravari medical vessel orbiting Varan Prime. He spent days drifting in and out of consciousness, his body still burning with aftershocks of the transformation. Every test they ran brought new results. His cells could process Dravari toxins like oxygen. His metabolism worked in ways even their scientists couldn't predict. He was human, but more. When he finally stood again, the war was over. Peace talks had begun. The alliance was real this time, not born of politics but of survival. He walked the observation deck, staring down at the planet below. The atmosphere shimmered, rebuilding itself after years of bombardment. For once the stars looked peaceful. The Dravari princess, the one he'd saved, stood beside him, silent for a while. She didn't need to say anything. The look in her eyes said it all: gratitude, wonder, and maybe something more. Ryder just smiled. "Guess we're not so primitive after all," he said under his breath. Outside, fleets that once traded fire now drifted in formation, not as enemies, but as partners rebuilding the galaxy. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't easy. But it was real. And for the first time in centuries, humanity had done something no empire, no machine, no weapon had ever managed. They'd changed the course of history by being exactly what they'd always been. Unpredictable. Resilient. Alive. As Ryder watched the sunrise spill across the stars, he realized something simple. The galaxy didn't need gods or perfection. It needed life that could survive the impossible and still choose compassion over chaos. That was humanity's gift. That was their code. And somewhere deep within the silence that came after war, a new sound began to rise. Not of destruction, but of 1,000 worlds rebuilding. 1,000 species learning to breathe together again. The human who healed an alien had ignited a future no one could have imagined. The soldier who refused to walk away had given the galaxy a reason to hope. Ryder Cole would never call himself a hero, but the universe would remember him that way. The man who proved that even in the darkest corners of space, the light of humanity could still burn bright enough to save them all.